we're standing there, and all of a sudden the gates opened up, and in comes this giant police convoy, state police and some of the Boston police, and a big armored Suburban comes in, and out of the car steps this guy, and he's in a business suit, but he's got this regalia on, giant. As I found out later, it's called his badge of office. Okay. And it was the actual sheriff of Nottingham, and he was doing a tour of important U.S. historical sites, looking for better ways to improve the visitor experience at Sherwood Forest.
Okay.
Yeah. I had this is interesting. I'm meeting the sheriff of Nottingham. But some other folks I got to meet, at the time, Governor Patrick, from Massachusetts came down to the ship, every so often. The Secretary of the Navy used to come up to Boston somewhat frequently. So I met him. I met the Speaker of the House at the time, Speaker Boehner, when he was in office. Mm-hmm. So, there was all sorts of things like that, that came and went. And I don't want to say you became numb to it, but you became a lot more comfortable with it. For the sailors, it almost didn't matter, who was coming. They gave the same sort of care, effort, and time and involvement to someone walking in off the street as they would to when the Secretary of the Navy showed up. I mean, it didn't matter. And I liked that very much. Everybody was treated the same, and made sure that they got a good dose of good old U.S. Navy history and got to meet some of America's finest sailors.
Mm-hmm. And would you say it was probably one of the top amount of photographs you'd ever been involved in was your career with the Constitution? I'm imagining that would be
Google my name.
Oh yeah, it's everywhere.
Put USS Constitution after it. It's unbelievable. When I was wrapping up my tour there, I got invited by both the USO and the Red Sox to come over to Fenway for a game to get recognized, and they had me up in the radio booth with Joe Castiglione and getting interviewed by them on air. And then there's one of my favorite pictures. It's me standing on top of the dugout waving to the crowd, but my picture's on the Jumbotron behind me.
Oh, that's neat. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's just, I've got so many great memories. And because of the public nature of the ship, a lot of them are captured on film. So the mementos I have are just incredible.
Yeah. What a great, like I said, the honor of being the captain of the U.S. Navy's most storied ship, and then being able to take that, and share that with family, and boy, the legacy of that will be incredible, right? Because there'll be people going, hey, my grandpa or whatever was the captain of the Constitution. And
I had my daughter christened on board, and there's I'm sure you're familiar with the Navy tradition of you have a child christened, you turn the ship's bell upside down, and that becomes the baptismal font. Mm-hmm. And then on most ships, they'll engrave or etch the name of the child inside the bell.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Well, Constitution's been around for a while, so they don't do the part in the bell anymore. But there's a plaque in the captain's cabin of all the children who've been baptized on board the ship. There's actually, I think, 4 plaques now. I mean, it's huge. And
yeah.
My daughter's on one of them. So, my wife will give me the business once in a while, because my name's on a plaque on that ship. Our daughter's name's on a plaque on that ship. There's nothing for my wife on that ship as far as a name goes. So I think we need to come up with a spouse's plaque at some point.
Yeah.
Keep me out of trouble.
Keep a lot of future CEOs out of trouble, I think, going both ways. Oh, that's cool. Well, hey, this has been really interesting. I like I said, I could talk all day. I want to make sure too that this is hitting home with folks. And like I said, Captain, there's a lot that has gone on in your life with your career that I find fascinating, and would definitely like to circle back with you on a future show, especially too. There's been so many different things involved in the Navy, good and bad, the last few years, and the whole program with surface warfare training and thing has come up, and it's obviously it's changed a lot, and those would be interesting topics to kind of hit upon. but also recognizing that you're still in the Navy, so we have to be careful where we go. But for me, those are interesting things, especially as those events and those investigations are finish up. But also, the constant deployments, the state of the fleet, where we are with our new carrier class that's coming out. And for me, obviously, I kind of live and breathe to see what's going on with, as we say, the Green Navy. All the things that are going on from Little Creek and Coronado and all those kind of fun units from EOD to the SEALs to the boat guys to CVs, you name it. It is just amazing how big, diverse, and the capabilities of this service truly are.
Yeah, they sure are. And I'd be happy to talk to you about anything, anytime. I'm getting towards the end of my career now. I've only got a few more years left in this. Then like we were talking about earlier, the Navy has certainly changed over my, at least so far, 26 and a half years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a sign of one of our greatest strengths is the adaptability and the responsiveness to change to meet the current challenges of the time, while at the same time still remembering our traditions and our roots.
Mm-hmm.
We never lose sight of that, and Constitution is certainly a very visible reminder of that.
Yeah, it's like I said, that vision of the Bunker Hill side by side with the Constitution will be indelibly stamped in my head forever. And I don't know how many more ship commissionings we have that come through Boston. I know we get a few every once in a while.
We just did one yesterday. The USS Thomas Hudner, named after a Fall River native, Medal of Honor recipient from the Korean War.
Oh, really? In Boston yesterday?
Yep.
Wow. Yep. Okay. Same spot, I'm guessing, right there in Charlestown?
No, this one I believe was done at the Black Falcon terminals down the other end of the harbor, down towards Fort Independence.
Okay, yeah. So you're not going to get that photo op that the Bunker Hill had. But,
no. No, I don't know that the ships would. I don't know. I don't know if that class of ships, an Arleigh Burke class destroyer, I don't know if she fits in Charlestown anymore. They're pretty deep.
Yeah, well, like I said, the Bunker Hill was a cruiser, but it's the same hull. They've obviously everything above the hull has changed a little bit, but it's essentially the design isn't too radically different from the old Tychos.
No, but I think I don't want to speak out of turn, but I don't think they dredge that part of the harbor as much anymore.
Oh, is that right? Yeah. Okay, well, I get it. But at any rate, like I said, that was pretty cool. All right. So, any final words there, Captain, before we go?
Yeah. So I would like to say one thing about the current state of the ship, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm. Please.
So obviously, berthed in Charlestown, Mass. The crew there, I've talked about them a little bit on and off as we've gone through our time here together. But these young men and women are all every last one of the sailors there is handpicked for that assignment. They go through a rigorous interview process. They have to apply for duty there. It's special duty. So when someone goes and visits that ship, they are meeting some of the very best people the Navy has. And all of them care strongly about their role on board that ship. And I can't talk strongly enough about those young men and women and how absolutely incredible they are. And I don't know if you know this, Ken, but half of them come straight out of boot camp. They're picked in boot camp to come here.
No, I didn't know much about how that process worked. No.
Yeah, it's a pretty involved process. It's run by the ship's command master, chief petty officer. But they are just some incredible people. And for those who come and take a look at the ship, they'll get a dose of good old U.S. Navy history, and they'll get exposed to people who are either just coming back from a deployment on another ship and have now been assigned there, or folks right out of boot camp. All of them, proud Americans, and like I said, some of our very best sailors. So that alone, to me, makes it worth the trip to get to associate with people of that caliber.
Well, I don't think there's a more appropriate ending to this podcast than what you just said, so I'm not even going to attempt to go there other than to say that my experience has always been phenomenal. And as we always say, it's always about the troops. But that's wonderful, Captain. Thank you for saying that and ending it on such a positive note. And we look forward to having you back in the future and diving into other things. And thanks so much for being part of this inaugural podcast.
Thanks again for reaching out and having me. And I look forward to trying to help you out or contribute as much as I can in the future.
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. General Quarters is part of the United Federation of Podcasts Network. Zachary Moore, Brandon-Shea and Tony Robinson, executive producers. Music for General Quarters include the titles A Call to Arms and Not Alone, written and performed by Zachary Tripp. We encourage you to please visit our General Quarters Facebook page and join the discussions on the episodes you just listened to. My name is Ken Tripp, and you can also find me on Twitter at Boston SCPO. That's at Boston Senior Chief Petty Officer. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to having you join us next week for another episode of General Quarters.